Alright, so I want to explain how to actually factor this trinomial, 5x squared plus 26x plus 5, by using the AC method of factoring. The AC method of factoring gets its name from the idea of a x squared plus bx plus c, where a is your leading coefficient and c is your constant at the end with the sign of a positive 5. The reason why it's called the AC method of factoring is because you will do a times c, which in this case it is going to be 5 times 5, 5 times 5, which is 25. You take this number 25 right here and you write out all of its prime factors. 1 and 25. Don't forget these are plus or minuses as well. Plus or minus, plus or minus. Then you have plus or minus 5 and plus or minus 5. You look at the factors and see, is there a way that we can come up with this middle number right here, 26, a positive 26? When we look here, if we do 1 plus 25, that does equal a positive 26. So what we do is we rewrite this middle term as those two factors. So we still keep our 5x squared, but now we do plus 25x plus x plus 5. We didn't make any changes to this because 25x plus x is still the 26x, which is above it. From here, we factor by grouping. We group the first two terms together, and we group these last two terms together. Now you have to be careful. This middle piece right here is plus, so you don't have to worry about the signs, but if it is a minus, you have to pay attention to the signs. From here, we just simply factor out what they have in common by each group. This first group has 5x squared plus 25x. Both terms have a 5x in it, so you factor it out. It gives you 5x, and that would leave you x plus 5, plus, bring your sign over, and now this last term has x plus 5. It has nothing in common, so it's x plus 5. From here, if you've done everything right, this parenthesis and this parenthesis will be the same. So you actually factor that set of parentheses out. It becomes x plus 5, and whatever's left is your other set of parentheses. In this case, it's a 5x plus 1. 5x plus 1. This is the factored form of 5x squared plus 26x plus 5. It factors to x plus 5 times 5x plus 1. You can do this procedure if a is 1, if a is any number. It doesn't matter. This same procedure, the AC method of factoring, works 100% of the time. Okay, so just a second ago I explained how to actually use the AC method of factoring, but it was a pretty straightforward one. You didn't have to worry about your signs. On this one, we're still going to use the AC method of factoring, where our A is 5 right here, and our C is negative 2. So we'll still go ahead and take 5 times negative 2, 5 times negative 2, which is negative 10, and then you list the factors for negative 10, which is going to be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 10, plus or minus 2, and plus or minus 5. From this list, you're going to look and see what combination is going to give you negative 3. Well, if I look, because we know negative 10 is a negative number, we have to have a positive and a negative. Well, if I take the combination of positive 2 and negative 5, when I multiply them, it is negative 10. But when I actually add these, it ends up being negative 3, which in fact is the number that we're looking for right here. So we'll go ahead and rewrite the middle term, negative 3x, as a positive 2x and a negative 5x. Still not changing the equation, but what we are doing is just rewriting it to make it look a little better. So we're going to do 5x squared plus 2x minus 5x minus 2. Now here's where you have to be careful. You have this negative sign right here. I want to, you guys, when you do this, don't think in terms of subtraction anymore. Think of terms of adding a negative number. So now we're adding a negative 5x. So we have 2x plus a negative 5x. By doing that, it'll allow you simply to group everything together, like in the like just a second ago. And then we're going to factor out the greatest common factor of each group. Well, the greatest common factor here of 5x squared plus 2x is really just the x. They both have an x in it, an x here and an x here. So we'll go ahead and take that out. This is going to be x times, that'll leave us 5x plus 2 plus, now we're going to look here and see what does this have in common and what does this have in common. Well, if you remember, I was saying, well, let's treat this as like adding a negative number. Both of these, negative 5 and negative 2, are negative numbers, so we can actually take out the negative. So we'll take out a negative 1. So we're going to plus a negative 1. That's going to leave me a positive 5x and a positive 2. Now, if you notice, here and here, they're the same, so we've done everything right. So we're simply going to take this and this right here. We're going to write it as a term, x minus 1. And then the other parts that are the same is your other factor, 5x plus 2. Now you're fully factored. You have to be careful, though, whenever you have this minus. Treat it like you're adding a negative number and you won't have a problem with your signs.